Okay, so you want to buy a golf course? A few hundred acres of perfect grass, rich people in polo shirts, and membership fees arriving every month. But here's the strange part. The golf may be the least important part of the business, because a golf course is not really selling golf. It is selling controlled access to land. And before you make your first dollar, that land is already spending money for you. In the United States, there are roughly 16,000 golf courses sitting across about 14,000 golf facilities. That sounds like a crowded market, and it is, but the supply has become strangely stable. The country is not building thousands of cheap new courses anymore. The weak ones have been closing for years. The survivors are either financially healthier, attached to real estate, attached to resorts, or private enough that the normal rules barely apply. So the first thing you need to understand is this. Buying a golf course is not like buying a gym or a restaurant or even a hotel. A gym can shrink, a restaurant can change menus, a hotel can renovate one floor at a time. A golf course wakes up every morning owning 150 acres of grass that has to look alive. An average 18-hole facility sits on about 150 acres. Around 95 of those acres are maintained turf. That means fairways, tees, rough, greens, practice areas, all the places golfers expect to look perfect, even if they only paid $65 for the round. And that perfection is expensive. The nationwide average maintenance budget for an 18-hole golf course was almost $1 million in 2023. Not total expenses, just maintenance. The people mowing, the equipment, the fertilizer, the irrigation system. The sand, the chemicals, the fuel, the repairs, the quiet army that shows up before sunrise so a retired dentist can complain that the greens are rolling too slow. And that's the funny part. The customer thinks he is paying for golf. The owner knows he is paying for grass. Now we get to the question that actually matters. Where does the money come from? For a public course, the obvious answer is green fees. You sell tee time. Somebody books 18 holes, pays $50, $80, maybe $150 at a better course. And then you sell them a cart. That is the visible business. It is also the most dangerous one because every tee time is perishable inventory. If 9:20 on Saturday morning goes unsold, you can't store it in the freezer and sell 2 of them next week. It disappears. Same as an empty hotel room, except the hotel room does not require 95 acres of living carpet. Then come cart fees. This is where the economics start to improve. The cart is not there because golfers cannot walk. It is there because 2 players in the cart move faster than 2 players walking, which means the course can push more groups through the system, and the cart itself becomes a second ticket attached to the first one. Then there is the driving range. Buckets of balls look small, but the margin is clean. The land is already there. The balls come back. The customer does not need a full 4-hour round. He can show up after work, hit 80 bad shots, and leave thinking he is improving. For the owner, this is one of the few parts of the property that can make money without consuming the entire course. Then there is the pro shop, which sounds like a store but behaves more like a souvenir stand for people who forgot sunscreen and convinced themselves they need another polo. Then food and beverage. This is where the clubhouse stops being decoration. A course with a weak restaurant is leaving money on the table because golfers arrive early, finish thirsty, and spend 4 hours convincing themselves they deserve a burger. Add alcohol, leagues, outings, and corporate tournaments, and suddenly the course is not only selling golf, it is selling a reason for middle-aged men to expense lunch. But the real money depends on the kind of golf course you bought. A municipal course is usually the hardest version. It is open to the public, politically sensitive, and often priced below the true cost of maintaining it. The city wants affordable recreation. The golfers want country club conditions. Nobody wants the green fee high enough to actually pay for both. That is how you end up with public systems that bring in millions of dollars and still lose money. One city can spend more than $20 million running its golf program, collect about $16 million back from fees and concessions, and still have to explain why taxpayers are subsidizing tee times. A daily fee course is cleaner. You own it, price it, market it, and live or die by utilization. If the course is full on weekends and half full on weekdays, you might survive. If the weather is bad, the neighborhood ages out, or a cheaper course opens 15 minutes away, your beautiful land becomes a machine for turning cash into mowing patterns. A private club is a different animal entirely. It sells scarcity. The member is not just buying rounds of golf. He is buying permission to be inside a gate that other people cannot enter. Initiation fees bring in large upfront cash. Monthly dues make revenue predictable. Food minimums make members spend even when they are not hungry. Assessments let the club ask members to help pay for a new irrigation system and somehow call it tradition. This is the closest golf gets to a subscription business. But private clubs have their own problem. Members believe they own the place emotionally, even when they do not own it legally. They want perfect conditions, low dues, available tee times, better food, faster carts, and no outsiders. In other words, they want luxury economics at community center prices. And then there is the fourth model, the one investors care about most, the golf course as real estate. This is where the business changes completely, because a golf course can lose money as a course and still create value as land. The United States has thousands of golf facilities with a residential or resort real estate component. Homes on golf courses have historically sold at a premium, not because the house plays golf, because the buyer is purchasing open space, status, views, and the promise that the backyard will never become a warehouse. So the developer's math is simple. Build the course, sell the lots around it for more, use the fairways as the amenity, and let the club become the marketing department for the houses. In this version, the golf course is not the profit center. It is the bait. That is why many new golf projects are no longer simple public courses. They are private destination clubs, resort properties, or high-end real estate communities. The game is still golf. The economics are land packaging. And this is where the strangest part appears. Sometimes the worst thing about owning a golf course is that the land is too valuable to keep as a golf course. A struggling course near a growing city may not be worth much as a business. Maybe it makes $4 million in revenue and clears almost nothing after labor, maintenance, debt, insurance, and property taxes. But the land underneath it might be worth $40 million to a developer. At that point, the owner has to ask a very uncomfortable question. Am I running a golf course, or am I holding a future subdivision with flags on it? This is why golf courses close even when people still play them. The course might not be failing because golfers disappeared. It might be failing because apartments, houses, warehouses, or solar farms can pay more for the same land. But let's say you actually want to keep it alive. What can you make? Scenario 1. You buy a tired public 18-hole course outside a medium-sized city for $3 million. Revenue is $2.5 million a year from green fees, carts, leagues, range balls, and food. Maintenance takes close to $1 million. Payroll, insurance, utilities, debt service, equipment, and clubhouse costs take most of the rest. If you are good, you clear $200,000 to $300,000 a year. Payback is 10 to 15 years. One bad irrigation failure can erase an entire season of profit. This is not passive income. This is landscaping with a balance sheet. Scenario 2. You buy a strong daily fee course for $8 million. Better location, full weekend tee sheet, good bar, weddings in the clubhouse, corporate outings. Revenue is $5 million. Total operating costs land around $4 million. Profit is roughly $1 million a year. Payback is 8 years. If nothing breaks, nobody builds across the street, and water prices behave themselves. That last part matters. Water is the silent partner in this business. In wet regions, it is an operating line. In dry regions, it becomes the business model's biggest political problem. A golf course needs the grass to look effortless. The public sees sprinklers. The owner sees invoices, restrictions, pumps, wells, recycled water contracts, and local governments asking whether a private game deserves public resources. Scenario 3. You build or buy a private club tied to real estate. The course itself might cost $20 million, $40 million, even more if the land is special and the architect is famous. On paper, that sounds insane, but if the course allows you to sell 300 homes at a premium, the golf operation becomes only one layer of the return. Membership dues keep the club alive, initiation fees fund improvements, the real estate captures the upside. At that level, the golf course is not the product. It is the view from the product. And that brings us to the final problem. Golf has a demographic clock. The game had a surge after 2020 and rounds played have been strong. But golf is still expensive, slow, land-hungry, and weather-dependent. Younger players may come in through simulators, short courses, entertainment venues, and casual formats. That is good for golf as a culture. It does not automatically save a 150-acre course with a 7-figure maintenance budget. So, the economics of owning a golf course are really three businesses stacked on top of one another. On the surface, it is a sports business. You sell rounds, carts, range balls, lessons, and tournaments. In the clubhouse, it is a hospitality business. You sell food, alcohol, weddings, corporate outings, and membership status. Underneath everything, it is a land business. You own scarce open space near people wealthy enough to care about it. The mistake is thinking the golf has to pay for all of it by itself. Time to pull it all together and answer the actual question. How much money do you make if you do this right? If you buy a weak public course, maybe nothing. Maybe a few $100,000 a year if the weather helps and the irrigation system does not betray you. If you buy a strong daily fee course, you might make $500,000 to $1 million a year with an 8 to 20-year payback and constant pressure to keep conditions high without letting costs eat the entire business. If you own a private club or resort course attached to real estate, the upside can be much larger, but that is because you are no longer just in golf. You are in land, housing, hospitality, scarcity, and status, and that is the part most people miss. A golf course looks like a place where people play a game. To the owner, it is 150 acres of controlled access, maintained every morning, monetized in layers, and valued by whatever the land could become if the golf ever stops. Everything else competes for golfers. A golf course owns the land under their feet.